Hi friends, welcome to Ashok IT. I am Ellen Rao. In this video, today we are learning complete JDBC in one shot. Roadmap of this course is first introduction, JDBC introduction, and then technicality starts, JDBC architecture, and pure intention is coding only. So to develop JDBC application, first we have to know JDBC programming model. So next is JDBC programming model. As part of JDBC programming model, we see connection, statement, result set, prepared statement, callable statement. And of course, by using this JDBC programming, performing CRUD operations with live examples. Let us get started. Before going into JDBC introduction, first you have to know that in real-time Java projects, data is stored, applications data is stored in the database. So, Java programs, any project, Java programs or Java applications should access the data from the database and process the data. So, that's what happens really in the projects. It means Java should be able to communicate with the database. So, now JDBC purpose that only. So, the first point is, what is JDBC? Next question as part of JDBC architecture is, what is the purpose of JDBC? So, what is JDBC purpose? Combinationally we have to understand. That's why two questions at a time I framed. JDBC is a technology, Java-based technology. It is not a language, it is not a software. Okay, generally people feel it is a programming language unlike Java. So no, JDBC is a Java-based data access technology. Is a Java-based. Why the word Java-based comes is coding all will be in Java language. So JDBC is a Java-based data access technology. So first point is, it is a technology. The purpose of that in the name itself, it is reflecting in the definition itself. It is a data access technology. What is the purpose of JDBC? As I told you, Java to communicate with the database. Okay, in a real-time project, data will be in the database. Our Java application should communicate with the database. So, JDBC purpose is, JDBC facilitates, means it enables Java database communication. Java database communication. As I told you in the beginning, always in real-time Java projects, data is stored in the database. Our Java backend application should access the data from the database, perform the CRUD operations. So that is the reason why always in a Java project, Java application should be communicating with the database. So by using JDBC technology only, any Java application can communicate with the database. So this is the Java program. I mean, we call it as this is the Java application. This is the Java application. Okay. And this is the database. So this is the database. Now, always projects data is stored in the database. Using Java language, directly Java application cannot communicate with the database. Java language alone, without the support of JDBC, cannot communicate with the database. Why? Very simple. Database understands only SQL. Java compiler directly does not support SQL. Java is designed with the syntax and semantics of Java. Okay. So therefore, SQL environment directly in Java not acceptable. Java is not acceptable in the database. So Java environment and database environment are two heterogeneous environments. Means two different environments. In a Java program, always method call is made to perform any operation. So Java method call is not understandable to database. It can understand only SQL. So with the mediation of JDBC, technology, Java is able to communicate with database. That's all. That is the purpose of JDBC. As part of JDBC introduction, I answered only two questions. What is JDBC? Java-based data access technology. Second question, what is the purpose of JDBC? So Java database communication say we use JDBC technology. That's all. But how technically Java can communicate with the database, we have to understand, means we have to know JDBC architecture. It is a rough idea, non-technical idea. JDBC as a mediator will facilitate Java database communication. But technically, how Java applications can communicate with the database and perform CRUD operations. If you want to understand it technically, we have to understand JDBC architecture. In fact, JDBC architecture is a client-server architecture. So, client will be there and server will be there. Client-server architecture. Which is the client? Java application is the client. Java application is the client. Okay. So, database server is the server. So, Java application is requesting the database for database services. Any application or software that requests a server for services is known as client. Because Java application requests the database server for database services, Java application is a client. Now, so database is a server. Any software that provides services to the requested clients is known as a server. So this is database server. What is the role of JDBC architecture? What are the elements of JDBC architecture? We have to understand. There are two elements of JDBC architecture that enable Java database communication. One element of JDBC architecture is driver manager. Driver manager is one element, architectural element of JDBC architecture. Another element is driver, JDBC driver of course. So two architectural elements will be there. So with the help of these two architectural elements, Java is able to communicate with the database and perform CRUD operations. Good. So what is the role of driver manager? So I already told you Java application is a client, database is the server. In client server communication, always first client should handshake with the server. I mean get connected to the server. It means Java application should request for database connection. Who provides database connection to the Java application is driver manager. So Java application takes the help of the driver manager in order to get connected to the database. Once Java application gets connected to the database, driver manager role ends. Driver manager does not participate in CRUD operations. What is the main intention of Java application? Performing CRUD operations. Inserting the record, retrieving the record, deleting the records, updating the records. In any real-time Java project, Java application's intention is to perform CRUD operations with the database. Sorry, driver manager does not facilitate any CRUD operations. This architectural element's role is only providing connection to the Java application. Once Java application gets connected to the database server, driver manager role ends. Now starts the role of driver. As I already told you, the power of Java is always method call. Whether to insert a record, whether to delete a record, or update or retrieve a record, Java always makes a method call. Only method call. Any task to perform, Java makes a method call. Is this Java method call understandable to database server? Absolutely no. So, when Java method call is not understandable to database server, how Java application can perform CRUD operation? Here comes into picture a translation software known as driver. So, what is driver? Translation software written in Java language only. So, Java application makes a method call only. That method call driver receives. What does the JDBC driver do? Being a translation software, it translates the Java method call into SQL call. So by the time it reaches the database server, it goes as SQL call only. So clients begin in Java only. But by the time it reaches the database server, it goes as SQL call only. That is why database server is able to respond. But database server given response, okay, the data it gives in SQL type only, which cannot be understandable to Java application. Again, driver role comes into picture. What does the driver do? It receives the SQL type data, translates into Java, and passes on that data to the Java application. So, Java makes a method call, Java gets Java data, but driver translates that into SQL call, receives SQL type from the database server, translates into Java. With the mediation of JDBC driver as a translation software, even though Java and database, two different environments, Java is able to communicate with database and perform the CRUD operations. So these two are the architectural elements in this client server architecture. It concludes JDBC architecture. Now, theoretically we understand two elements are there, but now really in programming how Java gets connected and how to perform CRUD operation. To understand that, we have to know another topic called JDBC programming model. The point is that any project, any Java project, whether it is banking domain or insurance domain or health domain, any Java application should communicate with database to perform CRUD operations. A standard 6 steps are there. All those steps together, collectively, we call it as programming model. Those 6 steps we follow and see that Java application performs CRUD operations with the database. Step 1. Step 1. It is a 6 steps programming model. First step is requesting for database connection. So, Java application being a client always should request for database connection. So, step 1 is requesting for database connection. How it requests, whom it requests, in the coding, live coding I will show you, then you will get more clarity. So, first step is requesting for database connection. Requesting for database connection. Once Java application gets connected to the database, Java application's next thing is performing the CRUD operation. To perform the CRUD operation, Java application should somehow submit the SQL query. Sorry, connection cannot carry the SQL query from the Java application. So, that role is performed by another JDBC API object called statement object. So, that is the reason why under step 2, creating the statement object. So, second step is creating the statement object. So, I told you in the application you will get more clarity. Statement object. So, why to create the statement object? Statement object is the designatory JDBC object. Means it is designed for submitting the SQL queries to the DBMS. That is why we created. How to create in the application development, you will see that. So, step 3. So, submitting the SQL query. I mean SQL statement. Third step is submitting the SQL statement. The point to understand is which SQL statement you have to submit. It depends upon the use case, means the task. For example, you are registering with the website. When you are doing registration, your data should be stored in the database. When Java backend application is implementing registration task, then what Java application should do? It should submit insert statement to the DBMS. You are doing balance inquiry. When you are doing balance inquiry, backend Java should submit select statement to the DBMS. You are doing online funds transfer. Once funds are transferred, your balance should be updated. So it depends upon the use case of the project. So Java appropriate SQL statement it has to submit to the DBMS. How? Using the statement object. Actually, in programming model, really how cannot be mentioned. In the program, you will get the clarity. So, once connection is created, create the statement object, and with the help of the statement object, submit the SQL statement. Now, step 4. Step 4. Once SQL statement is submitted to the DBMS, DBMS will respond, it gives the result. So that result, process the result. So processing the result. Okay, processing the DB result. I mean database response. Whatever response given from the database server or given by the database server, process that data. Very good. Step 5. Step 5 is once done with the CRUD operation, closing the statement. In second step, created the statement. In step 5, closing the statement. It is a standard procedure. You should not ask why. You should not ask why to close. Programming time, why to close the statement? What is the technicality behind the closing? I can elaborately mention that. But as of now, standard steps. Closing the statement. Last step is, sixth step is closing the connection. So, these are the 6 standard steps all put together we call as JDBC programming model. So, just to revise it in a minute, first connect. So, next create the statement. Then using the statement, send the SQL statement. Whatever response given by the database server, process that data. Once you are done with the CRUD operation, close the statement and finally closing the connection. With this, JDBC programming model is over. So, to understand how the CRUD operations are performed, we will see in the live coding. So, always Java application should request for a database connection. Whom it request? Driver manager. So, driver manager. This driver manager class has a static method called getConnection. It has getConnection. So, main method is calling getConnection method of driver manager class. Who is calling who? Main belongs to our application. So, Java application requesting the driver manager to provide the connection. So, you have to connect to the server now. If you want to connect to the server address, username, password should be provided. So, we are connecting to MySQL database server. So, username root, I have taken in my system password as Ashok IT. In your system, you can be having anything. So, what am I showing in this application is how can a Java application connect to MySQL database server. So, main method is calling getConnection method of driver manager. Driver manager is a library class of JDBC API. So, we are making driver manager class available to the application. Okay, now database server address we have to provide. So I am writing the MySQL address JDBC colon MySQL colon localhost colon 3306. So localhost means Java application and database server running in the same machine. But in real time what happens is, okay, in real time what happens is, in remote machine database server will be running. Then in this place we have to write the IP address of that computer where MySQL server is running. Now, get connection method returns connection object. It returns connection object. Okay, so now tell me, who is calling who? Main method is calling get connection method of driver manager. Main method is calling get connection method of driver manager. It means our Java application is requesting the driver manager for connection. Somehow it means driver manager makes our application, okay, get connected to MySQL server with this server address and credentials, username and password. Now Java application got connected to database server, and it means our Java application logged into the server. It means one session is created. That session is nothing but connection object. So finally, who connected to whom? Our Java application connected to database server. I mean MySQL server. Okay, so that is the point, please. So now but here I am not showing you any CRUD operation. Okay, just idea sake. Okay, I am just printing connected Java application connected to MySQL server. Excuse me. So Java application connected to MySQL server. That's all. Actually, here we have to perform CRUD operations. After CRUD operations are over, we have to close the connection. That is mandatory, please. Okay, fine. But the point here to understand is, okay, get connection method throws SQL exception. So therefore, it is showing error. It is asking, what should I do? What should I do? It is asking. Okay. And we should escape from SQL exception throws. Okay. We have seen introduction to JDBC, and we observed JDBC architecture, and then we have seen JDBC programming. Now, from the Java application, how to perform DML operations with the database. DML in the sense, data manipulation language statements. It means inserting the data into the database, updating the data in the database, deleting the data from the database. So out of CRUD operations, or if you remove CUD, creation of data means inserting the record, updating the record, deleting the record. So we call this as DML operations. So now how theoretically, how to perform DML operations in a Java application, I will be explaining you theoretically now. But in reality, live coding time, we see for each operation, we'll see one live example, then more clarity will come. Now idea will come. That is the intention of this theoretical explanation. Now, so how to perform DML operation? I already told you. For any operation, we use which object? Statement object. We use a statement object to perform any CRUD operation. This statement object has one method called execute, one method called execute query, execute update, execute update. So by using execute update method of the statement object, either we can insert the record into the database or delete data from the database or update the data from the database. So you observe please. Statement dot method is execute update. Execute update. This is the method. This method takes SQL statement as string argument. Either insert statement you can submit, or update statement you can submit, or delete statement you can submit. Here some technicality let us understand. Now this is Java application. This is Java application. Making this method call, execute update method call is made on the statement object. Will this method call be received by the database server? Sorry, database server cannot understand Java method call. Then who receives the method call? JDBC driver. So driver receives the method call. When execute update method is called on the statement object, recipient of the method call is driver. Driver translates the method call into SQL call and submits that SQL statement to the DBMS. Java program is making method call. By the time it lands into the database server, it goes as SQL statement only. Now, SQL statement is executed. How many records updated? Inserted. How many records are deleted? How many updated? That number. As a result of this SQL statement's execution, how many records affected in the database, it gives the reply, that number it returns. So who returns what to whom? Database server returns a number indicating that as a result of this DML operation, how many records are affected, it returns a number. But that number will be in SQL type. Being a translation software, this driver translates that SQL type number into Java type. Therefore, return type of execute is integer. We hold that in the variable. That's all. So this is how DML operation is performed in a Java application using statement object. This is the point of performing the DML operation. Whenever you want to perform CRUD operations, what you have to do is, first there should be a database table. Okay, so I created one table already. Okay, so one table is created, please. It has 3 columns: account number, name, and balance. Account number is integer type. Name is in Java version string type. In SQL we call it as varchar. Balance is decimal in Java float type like. Okay. So one table created. So this table is created in some database. Okay. So that database is bank database. Always in MySQL, first you have to create a database. Within the database, you have to create the table. Very good. So now the story is performing the CRUD operations. Okay, if you recollect, first step connection. I told you 6 steps. Now second step is create the statement object. I am creating the statement object. Okay, so creating the statement object is equal to. So how to create a statement object? By calling create statement method on the connection object. Step 1, Java application connecting to the database server. But using connection object, you cannot submit the SQL statements. For that, we have to create the statement object. Now, I want to insert a record. Now, I want to insert a record. How? Statement dot. What kind of SQL statement? DML. Then, method is execute update. Execute update method we have to use this. Okay, execute update method you have to use to insert a record. Observe what am I doing? Insert into account values. I am inserting the values, please. Account number this, account holder name, something I am saying. Okay, account balance, some 50,000. Now, main method is calling execute update method on the statement object. Who receives this method call? Driver. Driver receives the method call, translates the call into SQL call, and submits to the DBMS. Now DBMS executes this query. How many records are inserted? 1. That 1, it will return to driver in SQL type. Okay, that is returned to the program. So execute update method returns integer. This integer represents how many records are affected. That's it. Now, in this example, what is processing? Okay, just printing this. 1 account inserted, something like. Please observe. First step, requesting for connection. Second step, created the statement. Third step, submit the query. Fourth step, process the result. Execute update method returns a number. How many records are affected? It returns that number. That's all. That's all. Now, my CRUD operation is over. Then what you do? Close the statement. Close the statement. Okay. And close the connection. So all 6 steps, please. 11th line, connection creation. 12th line, create the statement. 13th line, submit the query. 14th line, process the result. 15th line, step 5, close the statement. 16th line, close the connection. So this is what the story is. Okay, if you observe, let us see. So let us see in the database, select star from account. Observe, There are no records now. There are no records now. Let me execute the application. After that, again, we'll see the observe what output has come in the console. One account inserted. One account inserted. Now let us check. Select star from account. Observe. One record inserted. It means this is the way. This is the way to insert the record. This is how DML operation is performed. Okay. Now I want to update. I want to change the balance value. Earlier it was 50,000. Now I want to change it. Method is execute update only. But SQL query, how to modify the record? Update. Which table? Account table. Which column you want to change? Balance column. How much amount you want to deposit? Say 10,000. Assume like. That's all. It is over. Now, main method is calling execute update method on the statement object. Driver receives the method call. Translate this call into SQL call. It is submitted to the database. Okay. Now, one column of that is modified. Okay. But I did not use where clause. Therefore, all the records will be updated. What I will do here, insert into account values. Okay. I am just inserting another record. Okay. So observe, there are how many records here? 2 records are there in the database table now. 2 records are there. Now what I'll do? So accounts updated. My intention to show you here is whether it is insertion or deletion, procedure is the same. Okay. So insertion, deletion, updation, method call is execute update only. Method call is execute update only. That is the point. Okay, now main method is calling 13th line execute update method on the statement object. Who receives the method call? Driver. Translates the call, submits to the DBMS. I did not use where clause. Therefore, every account is added by 10,000 rupees. Now, as a result of this SQL statement submission, how many records are affected? 2 records. Therefore, this method returns 2. Okay. So, how many records are affected? That it will tell, please. Okay. So, now let me run this. So, look at this. What output has come? 2 accounts updated. That output has come. Check now. Check now. So, earlier 50,000, 60,000. Now observe 60,000. Each account 10,000. This is the way to perform the DML operations. Means insert, even deletion also the same. Just now we have seen DML operations. How to perform DML operations in a Java application. Live coding we have observed. It means from the Java program, inserting data into the database, updating the data in the database, deleting the data from the database with coding I have shown you. Now let us see how to retrieve data from the database. How to retrieve data from the database, now we are going to observe. It means DRL operation. So DRL operation, data retrieval language operation. Generally, if you want to retrieve data from the database, what we have to do? From the Java program, we have to submit select SQL statement. Okay. select SQL statement we have to submit, okay, to the DBMS. So then we can retrieve the data from the database. Now we observe how to retrieve data from the database into the Java program by submitting the select statement. Observe, we have a statement object. This statement object has two methods to send the SQL statement to the DBMS. Already we have observed to submit insert, delete, update, we used the method execute, update. Now to send the select statement, we use execute query method of the statement object. So let us see that. So statement dot execute query. Statement dot execute query. We submit the select statement. Execute query method is called on the statement object. When execute query method is called on the statement object, okay, so this is the Java program. Execute query method is called on the statement object. As I have told you so many times, who receives this method call? Driver receives the method call. JDBC driver receives this method call. Translates the method call into SQL call and select statement is submitted to the DBMS. Now, when select statement is received by the database server, it executes the query. And returns the records. Depending upon the content of the query, maybe 0 record, maybe 1 record, or multiple records, more than 1 record, DBMS will return to the driver. It means when execute query method is called on the statement object, driver receives the method call, translates the method call into SQL call and submits to the database server. Within the database server, select statement is executed. Depending upon the query, okay, either 0 record or 1 record or multiple records, database server returns to the driver. But they are in relational format, not understandable to Java application. Then what does the driver do? Driver translates that data into an object called result set object. So, result set object, it is converted into result set object. What is the return type of execute query method? Result set object. So, what is result set? object-oriented representation of the records received from the database is nothing but result set object. First of all, data is in relational format, came to driver. It is in Java format, it has converted and given to the Java program. Now, result set object holds the database data retrieved. Now, as an application developer, we should know how to make use of result set object and get the column values. So now we should know how to process the records stored in the result set. What is result set? Object-oriented representation of database data. That's all. Now we have to process this result set object and retrieve the column values. How to do that? So that understanding only, learning, retrieving the data from the database. Result set object has some structure, some logical structure. Without understanding that result set architecture, we cannot process the data stored in the result set. Result set object is logically divided into three partitions. One is known as zero record area. One area is known as zero record area. Another area is known as records area. Records area. And the last area is no record area. No record area. So this is the result set architecture. So whatever I am just drawing here, this is result set architecture. So when the result set is open, I mean when execute query method returns the result set object, internally result set object in memory logically represented in this fashion. First, beginning of the records, that is called zero record area. End of the records are represented as no record area or no records area. Fine. In between, original records received from the database will be there. When the result set is open, there is a logical pointer known as cursor points to zero record area. Most important thing is, when the cursor pointing to zero record area or when it is pointing to no record area, we should not process the data in this area. When the cursor is pointing to record area only, you have to retrieve the data. If you try to process the records, when the cursor is in zero record area or no record area, exception will be raised. Okay, so that is the most important thing. So tell me what we are learning now. How to retrieve the data. How to retrieve the data from the database? By submitting the select statement. How to send the select statement from the Java program? How to send the select statement from the Java program? Okay. How to send the select statement from the Java program? By calling execute query method on the statement object. When execute query method is called on the statement object, who receives the method call? Driver. Translates that method call into select statement and submits to the DBMS. DBMS returns the records to the driver. Driver translates that into result set object. So Whatever data came from the database are in the result set. Now, it is the Java developer's duty to process the records, means retrieve the column values. That is the main important thing. Without understanding the result set architecture, we cannot process the data. So that is the reason why we are trying to understand the result set architecture. Result set object is divided logically into three partitions. One is beginning of the records, end of the records, in between actual records area. That is called zero record area, records area, and no records area. And when the result set is open, there is a logical pointer known as cursor that points to zero record area. When the cursor is pointing to zero record area or no record area, you should not try to access the data from the result set object. Otherwise, SQL exception is raised. Very good. Then, how to move the cursor from zero record area to records area? Result set object has one method called next method. The actual usage of this method in live coding you will be observing. But remember, when next method is called on the result set object, cursor is moved from zero record area to first record area. Again, if you call, it moves to second record area. Like that, to move the cursor by one record area every time, we have to call the next method. Next method nature is not only it moves the cursor in the forward direction by one record area. If record is there, it returns true. If record is not there, it returns false. For example, records are exhausted. Again, next method is called. Now tell me where the cursor will be pointing to. Cursor will be pointing to no records area. Next method, move the cursor from records area to no records area. Then next method returns false. So with that, we understand, oh, there are no end of the result set is reached. So this is how we come to know. We need not peep into the records area and find out whether record is there or not. Next method will do. Okay. In the application, more clarity will come how to make use of the next method. So now cursor moving, I told you how to read the column values, because in this area only records are there. Same in the database table, first column, second column. If it is accounts table, account number, account holder name, balance link. Very good. How to retrieve the column value? There are getter methods. In result set object, getter methods are there. Because first column is integer type, account number, method is getInt. Okay, column number you supply, it returns the column value. How to retrieve the second column? Because it is a name, method is getString method. Okay, supply the column number, you get the column value. Similarly, getFloat of 3 will give you the column value. So, there are two kinds of methods in result set. One method is cursor moving method. Another kind of methods are column values retrieving methods. They are getter methods. Depending upon the column type, okay, particular method getInt, getString and getFloat kind of methods we have to call. Supply the column number and you will get the column value. So this is how records, database data, you will process in the result set. Application, live coding will give you more clarity. Okay. That's all about how to retrieve data from the database. Now, how to retrieve the data from the database. Next story I will show you how to retrieve the data from the database. Sorry, you should not use execute update method. You have to use execute query method. So statement dot execute query. Now I say select star from account. Okay, that's all. Now, okay, main method is calling execute query method on the statement object. Who receives the method call? Driver. Translates the call into SQL call. Okay, translates that into SQL call. Submits to the DBMS. Now, how many records are there? We have seen 2 records. Those 2 records, database server gives to driver. Driver constructs an object called result set object. It constructs result set object. Okay. What is the return type of execute update? Integer. What is the return type of execute query? Result set. I theoretically very clearly explained you what is result set. Object-oriented representation of database records is nothing but result set object. Now, so if you recollect, result set object created with 2 records and with 2 records. First area, 0 record area. Last, no record area. Now in between, 2 records are there. Okay, 1001 Rama, some 50,000, 60,000, 1002 David, like that. But when the result set is open, where is the cursor? In the beginning. Can you read the column values now? No, you will get SQL exception. Then what to do? Move the cursor. How many times? How do you know how many records are there? We don't know in real time now. That is why multiple records chance is there. Go for loop. Okay. So while how to move the cursor? How to move the cursor from 0 record area to how to move the cursor from 0 record area to record holding area? How to move the cursor? So you know method is what? Dot next method. Good. So now main method is calling next method on the result set object. What will happen in the background? Cursor will be moved from where to where? 0 record area to first record area. After moving, next method returns because record is there. Record is there. So now tell me, next what is our duty? Retrieve the column values. How to retrieve the column values? Methods are there, no? What are the methods? First column, how? How to retrieve that? Result set dot get int of 1. 1 means first column value. Okay, why int? Because I have shown you in the database a column, account number column is integer. So call the account number. What does it return? What does it return? Account number it will return. Okay. And so what I'm doing, I'm printing. Okay, I'm printing all this. Okay. In one row I'm printing. Okay. So first of all, where is the cursor now? First record area. First record area. Now I have to retrieve 3 columns. How? Result set dot. What is the method? Get into method. Supply the column number. You get the column value. Next what? Result set dot. Tell me how to get the second one. Get string. What is the column number? 2. So I just decoration sake, I am giving some space. Okay, it's not great. I am giving some space between the column number and the column value. How to retrieve the third column? That is decimal. Na? Okay. So now what to do? Result set dot method is get float, third column, na? Finished, that's all. So now, what will be displayed on the monitor? How to retrieve the data, here you are observing, please. How to retrieve the data you have observed. Okay, getting, retrieving the first column value, 1 means, second column 2, get float third column 3. Now account number has come here, account holder name has come here, account balance has come here. But now control goes from 16th line to 15th line. What will happen? Again next method. Where does the cursor go? From first record area to second record area. Now when the cursor goes to second record area, okay, what is happening? Again these methods are called, but same methods, but now second row is processed. Now second record details displayed. Now again cursor goes, control goes to 15. Now tell me, main method is calling next method on the result side, where the cursor will go? From second record area to no record area, because records are exhausted. Then what does the next method do? It returns false. Because condition is false, control comes out of the loop. So why no record area like that they kept, beginning of the result set and end of the result set sake. Okay, so next method moves the cursor out of the result set, it returns false, processing is over. Once processing is over, close the result set, you have to close the result set, please. Okay, and then close the statement and close the connection. Slight variation only, please. Okay, so slight variation. So now let me run this code. Okay. Observe, we can decorate it by writing account number, account holder name and balance. I did not decorate now, only values I retrieved. So this is the way to retrieve data from the database. So with this, we observe how to perform DRL operations. Okay. So to insert, delete, update, execute update method of statement object. To retrieve the data, execute query method of the statement object. Just now, we have seen how to retrieve data from the database into the Java program. With example, we have observed. So, we have seen examples how to perform CRUD operations using statement. So, we feel that statement is the best object in JDBC technology to perform CRUD operations with the database. But sorry, statement object, okay, is not the greatest of the objects to use in the JDBC applications. For example, we have one customer of a bank, another customer, any customer doing deposit service, our Java application should send update SQL statement only. No? Thousands of customers depositing the amount into their accounts. So backend Java application code should send for every customer's deposit operation, update same SQL query to be submitted to the DBMS. Because service is same now. When service is same, SQL statement to be submitted is the same. It means same SQL statement again and again, repeatedly, we need to submit to the DBMS. But unfortunately, whenever any SQL statement is required to be repeatedly submitted to the DBMS, statement object compromises the performance. But in real time, okay, in the lifetime of the bank, only one customer opening the account, Only one customer withdrawing the amount, not like that now. So whatever banking services our bank is providing to the customers, when service is same, transfer funds, withdraw money, deposit the amount, close the account, all these same SQL query, of course with different data, is required to be submitted repeatedly. Repetition only will be there in real time. So therefore, in such cases, statement object compromises the performance. So therefore, we should not use a statement object in real-time Java applications. So that is the point. So performance is compromised. Whenever a SQL statement is required to be submitted repeatedly to the DBMS, okay, we should not use statement object, it compromises the performance. Then what to do? It has a child object called prepared statement. A child object called prepared statement. So by using prepared statement object, we will address the limitations of statement. How to make use of prepared statement? Okay, so please try to understand this. So whenever repetition is involved, we go for prepared statement. How to make use of prepared statement in a Java program? Observe, we have to create prepared statement object. Prepared statement. Prepared statement PS is equal to, means reference of that object, connection dot prepare statement. Connection dot prepare statement. Observe carefully, there is no D here. By calling prepare statement method on the connection object, prepared statement object is created. So this method takes, okay, SQL statement as argument. Okay, say insert, you can do any operation. So insert into account values. Okay, values, 3 values. Instead of values, we write placeholders. Prepare statement method is called on the connection object. Driver receives the method call, translates the call into SQL call. This SQL statement is sent to the DBMS. In the DBMS, you know what will happen? This SQL statement is compiled. Okay, the best way to execute query plan is generated. Because values are not there, it cannot insert the record. And the same thing, that already prepared SQL statement is sent to the Java program. From Java program, SQL statement is submitted to the DBMS. But important thing is, by using prepared statement when you are performing the CRUD operations, we should not use the values. In those values, we have to, in place of those values, we have to use the placeholders. Very good. When prepared statement method is called on the connection object, driver receives the method call, translates this call into SQL call and submits to the database server. Within the database server, this query is compiled, and the best way to improve the performance, the best way to execute query plan will be generated. But values are not there, it cannot execute the query. Already prepared means a pre-compiled that SQL statement, it will send back to the Java program. That is wrapped into prepared statement object. So pre-compiled SQL statement is there in the prepared statement object. In the prepared statement object. In the prepared statement object. Exactly 1 minute I repeat. Observe. Prepare statement method is called on the connection object by submitting SQL statement. Driver receives that method call, translates the call into SQL call, sends to the DBMS. So DBMS receives that SQL statement, performs the compilation, and then the best way to execute that, it generates a query plan. This is performance improving query optimization technique. Because values are missing, it will return the same to the driver. Driver constructs a prepared statement and returns to the Java application. Object-oriented representation of a pre-compiled SQL statement is nothing but prepared statement object. Now, prepared statement, SQL statement is there in the object. Now, record is not yet inserted. Now, customer 1, customer 2, customer 3. It means 3 times same query I have to submit. So now what to do? What to do is, now you fill the question marks and submit the query. Supplying values to those question marks is known as binding of the parameters. Okay? Now query came to Java program only, but without values. Now fill the values by calling setter methods. By calling setter methods, okay, so all the question marks are filled, and then submit the SQL statement by calling execute update. Once this execute update method is called, same old story, execute update only. If it is select statement, execute query. Now from the Java application, SQL statement is submitted to the DBMS. Now no compilation, no query plan generation required, because already that is optimized. So only execution will be there, performance will be improved. And another customer, same insertion, values will be different. Again it will go to the DBMS. Again compilation, plan generation time will be saved. Directly execution only. Like that, any number of times, repeatedly, same SQL statement with different data you are submitting without compromising the performance, CRUD operations can be performed. Don't think it is only for insertion. For all the CRUD operations you can do. When we are doing the live coding, you will be understanding, please. So theoretically, some idea will come. When we implement the application, total clarity will come. Okay? So this is how prepared statement is used in a Java application. Theoretically, I have shown you there are some problems in statement. Problems are there with statement, performance problem will be there. Okay. So therefore, we have to use prepared statement, I told you. Prepared statement. So theoretically, I told you what are the problems. Now I will show you how to make use of prepared statement. So we create the prepared statement object. Okay. Prepared statement object, I am showing you how to create. So statement object has some drawbacks. To overcome those drawbacks, we are using prepared statement. In real-time projects, if JDBC is used for database communication, almost always prepared statement only used. It is the child of statement. It will improve the performance. How? Theoretically, I told you, is equal to, okay, connection dot prepared statement. Now I want to insert a record. Insert into account values. We never give direct values here. We write question marks. They are called placeholders. So they are called placeholders. Whenever you are using the prepared statement, never ever write the direct values. In that place, write the one question mark, another question mark, another question mark. I already told you in theory. Okay, now prepared statement, already prepared SQL statement created. Now SQL statement came back to the Java application. Okay, now in database side, SQL statement compiled, query plan generated, but a query is not executed because values are not there. Now what to do? Fill those values. How to fill? How to fill is by calling setter methods. Okay, first question mark set int. What is the value you want to give for that? So now tell me, I want to insert account number as 1000. Okay, second is what? Set string. Okay, it is the set string. Why string? Already shown you. Second column is varchar, so set string. Now second question mark I am filling. I am filling the second question mark. Okay, so now I say something. Finished. So now next what to do? Fill the third one. Okay, so now dot set float. Okay, so third column we are filling, and with what values? Some values. So calling the setter methods on the prepared statement, this is known as binding of parameters. This is known as binding of parameters. So that is the point, please. Okay, now query is Java program side only. Values also Java program side only. Now submit the query. How? Same old story. Okay, because it is DML, na? Method is what? Execute, update. Zero argument because already query with SQL is there. Same old story. Execute update method returns integer only. First, create the connection, create the prepared statement, fill the question marks, submit the query, process the result. Process the result. Here, processing the result is nothing but just printing the, okay, one account stored like. Don't think prepared statement only for insertion. All operations you can perform. Now, my CRUD operation is over. Then what I will do? Close the prepared statement. So this is the way. Now, before closing, I want to insert one more record. Then what to do? Will you create a prepared statement again? No, you should not do. Now new values again. Again prepared statement dot set int. Again set string. Like that you should be doing this. Actually in real-time project, from the web form, from the front end, from the screen, data will come insert. Second time, another account data they will fill, again retrieve, again store. Repetition will be there, then only we go for. Say for example, if you want to say this, okay, one more record insertion if you want. Okay, just I am doing it here. But observe, prepared statement is created only once. Only once, please. Again, submit the query like. Okay, so now we say one more account is updated. One more account is updated. Fine, one more account stored. Please try to understand. Prepared statement created only once. Fill the values, submit. Now fill the second another record, submit. In once the DBMS control goes, again query plan generation, again compiling the SQL statement, that time will be saved. Only insertion that will improve the performance. So whenever multiple values are there to be so inserted, so we go for prepared statement, please. So now observe two more records inserted like. So similarly, you can perform any number of operations like this. So you can be performing any number of operations like this. All the type of operations you can be performing. Just now we have seen prepared statement, how to use in a Java application and perform CRUD operations. Now there is another concept called stored procedure calling in a Java application. What is a stored procedure? Actually, when you attend the database module of a course, how to develop a stored procedure, what is the purpose of a stored procedure, you will be thoroughly learning. But here, how to call a stored procedure from the Java application only, we are learning. But I will use some idea. For example, this is Java application. So actually here front end will be there. Java project front end. So front end of the project. User will be interacting with the front end. And front end displays the data to the user, takes input from the user. Total end user interaction will happen with the front end. But data processing will not be done in the front end. This is back end application. Back end application. So actually data will be there in the database. So back end application, Java related technologies, Java frameworks are used. So front end will be communicating with backend for what sake? Processed data sake. But who will do data processing? Our Java application will do data processing. But where is data? Data in the database. After receiving front end request, this backend application Java code will communicate with the database, gets the data from the database, processes the data, and the processed data, it will be given to the front end. Front end will display that processed data to the end user. It means data processing happens where? In Java, within Java coding. But sometimes, a bit rarely, in some projects what happens is, database professionals, they do data processing in the database server only. They say for security reasons, they don't want to expose their business logic. They don't want to give even to the Java application developers. Most of the times, data processing happens in Java coding, but sometimes, depending upon the project, depending upon the database designers and the project architects and all, they decided to implement data processing also in the database server. How to process data? Here, if it is Java, you write in a method. You write data processing code in a method. But Similar to Java method, how to group multiple instructions to process the data within the database server by using the concept called stored procedure. By using the concept, that is known as stored procedure. What is a stored procedure? Okay, a group of instructions, a named group of instructions, similar to a Java method. When called, it performs a task. So Java method kind of story within the DBMS only, using PLSQL, not SQL, using PLSQL, a stored procedure is written. First, Java method like written in PLSQL. Purpose is what? Data processing. Actual data processing should happen in Java. Na? Very rarely it may happen within the database server also. It is company's decision what we can do. It means actually what a Java method is supposed to do, stored procedure is doing. The group of SQL statements written in the stored procedure. If that is the case, then what our Java program should do? Already front end is talking to Java. I want to process the data. But data processing is not there within Java. But where is there? In the stored procedure it is there. Therefore, our Java application for data processing say, processed data say, it should call the stored procedure. Then in such scenario, our Java application should call the stored procedure. Should call the stored procedure. Okay. How to call the stored procedure in a Java application? By using callable statement object. Callable statement object. It is a child of prepared statement object. What is the purpose of callable statement? From the Java program to call the stored procedure in the database server, we use callable statement object. How to create the callable statement object? So, callable statement CST is equal to connection dot prepare call. One method will be there. Prepare call. It will take call to the stored procedure. So, by calling prepare call method on the connection object, callable statement object is created. By using this callable statement object, stored procedure of the DBMS is executed and get the data, and all those things will happen. So, really, how to make use of callable statement in the live coding I will be showing you. So, again to repeat in a minute, what is callable statement object? So, what is the purpose of callable statement object? To call the stored procedure in a JDBC application, we use callable statement. How to call it? It depends upon the type of stored procedure. Okay? Based on the type of stored procedure, the way you make the call will differ. So, how to make use of that in the application live coding I will show you. So, this is the theoretical part of callable statement. In the coding part, you will get the clarity. Just now, we have seen theoretically what is a stored procedure, how to call it I told theoretically. Now I will be showing you how to call the stored procedure. How to call the stored procedure. But some problem is there here. Without knowing what is a stored procedure. Okay. So without knowing what is a stored procedure, you cannot call it. But stored procedure creation, you will be learning in database module PLSQL. Observe, one procedure already database people created it. Name of the procedure is add interest. Stored procedure in Java we call it as a method. If it is Java, we write flower brace open, flower brace closed. In PLSQL, we say begin and end. Java method takes parameters. Here also same. First parameter is account number. Second parameter is bal. So in stored procedures, three types of parameters will be there. In parameter, out parameter, in out parameter. For in parameter, we have to supply the input. It means while calling this stored procedure, we should supply the account number, and balance values this stored procedure will fill and return to us. So now what is the name of the procedure? Add interest is the procedure. What does it do? It calculates the interest of the balance, account balance, add that interest to the balance, and final after addition, what value it will give you. Okay, so first get the balance, calculate the interest, and with interest plus balance, add like. So more than one statement you are grouping and under one Java method like stored procedure. Okay, so this is the concept of stored procedure. I cannot further elaborate in stored procedure. How to call the stored procedure? How to call the stored procedure in a Java application? We are going to observe, please. I already told you to call a stored procedure. We use callable statement object. Okay, callable statement object is used to call the stored procedure. Okay, so how to make use of a stored procedure, I will be showing you, please. First of all, how to create a stored procedure. Okay, how to call the stored procedure means first create the callable statement object. First step, create the callable statement. Main method is calling prepare call method on the connection object to create the prepared statement. To create the callable statement. So create statement method is called on the connection object to create the statement. Okay. Prepare statement method is called to create the prepared statement. Again on the connection object, call prepare call. So here in this prepare call, we should write this syntax. Okay, so we should use this syntax, please. Okay, so how to call a stored procedure, I am explaining you. How to create a stored procedure is like this. So one keyword is there internally. That key we have to write here, please. Call. What is the name of the procedure? Add interest. Already I have shown you now. This is the stored procedure name. Add interest. So that it is taking how many parameters? 2 parameters. Therefore, we should write 2 question marks, please. So main method is calling prepare call method on the connection object. With this special syntax, call is the keyword, and write the stored procedure name. How many parameters it is taking, supply those question marks. Over. Now, there is another concept called, already told you, stored procedure is having 2 parameters, in parameter, out parameter. So next story is we have to register the in parameter. We have to Okay, register the out parameter. We have to register the out parameter. So now in this already, that's why without having clarity on stored procedure, we cannot understand. Stored procedure, second one is out parameter. Out parameter, na? Because it is second one is out parameter 2. 2. It means second question mark, I am filling the value, please. Second question mark, I am filling. Okay. Here we have to say in SQL, there is in SQL package, there is a class name types. Because it is the float type, you have to say float. So this is known as registering the out parameter. Hello driver, in the stored procedure, second one is what type? Decimal type, balance, na? It is out parameter. Therefore, you are registering the out parameter. For which account number you have to get the balance detail and do it. That is, next is supply the values to the in parameter. So, callable statement dot supply the account number. Okay, set int is the number, because account number we have to supply now. Okay, I say in the database already one account is there, so that I am supplying, please. One. So please try to understand, nothing great here. Okay, first create the connection and then create the callable statement. Prepare call method on the connection. Call is the keyword. Which stored procedure you are calling? This one. It is taking how many parameters? 2. So 2 question marks. But first one is in parameter. So we have to fill the value. So first question mark. For this account number, I want to find the balance and calculate the interest. Second one, after calculation, I want you to fill the value. So which type? Balance is a decimal type, na? So types dot float you have to give now. Next what? Execute the, call the procedure. Till now, only filling business we have done. Now call the stored procedure. How to call the stored procedure? Callable statement dot execute. Okay. So filling the in parameter, out parameter, call execute. Exactly here, calling the stored procedure. Now, stored procedure calling is over. Then we have to get this balance and all that now. How? Now process the data. Now that balance values changed now. How to get the balance values? Same getter method only. Observe. So after adding balance, okay, no, after adding interest, okay, balance is rupees, call the getter method, callable statement dot get float of out parameter value over, please. So here, okay, callable statement dot like here, small doubt may be there, very simple. In the stored procedure, second one is balance. Once we say execute, this code is executed, interest is calculated, added to the original balance, and new balance will be stored this here. That is the value. How to retrieve the value? Callable statement dot getter method is called. It is the second column. Therefore, we got it. Okay. So now let me run this. Yeah. After adding interest, balance is 63,000 rupees. Earlier observe, 60,000 was the account balance. Okay, now it has become 63. Why? 0.05%. For 60,000, 3 rupees interest came and that is added. So this is the way to call the stored procedure. But it is a frequently used concept. No, rarely, but you should have an idea that concludes how to call the stored procedure. With this, okay, JDBC completed with complete clarity and live coding. I conclude this session, please. Thank you very much.